Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. It is very important in the first place that we remember why we are here. And that doesn't just go back to the events of the last few weeks. Let's recall for a moment that right after 9/11, we all heard again and again and again that all the Muslims in the United States were moderate and completely rejected and denounced and abhorred the terrorist attack that happened on September 11th, 2001. But what happened then? What happened after that? What happened after that was the beginning of a systematic campaign that is completely inconsistent with that claim. Because the claim was that moderate Muslims rejected 9/11, rejected terrorism, and yet everyone who has stood up against jihad terror, everyone who has spoken out about this evil has been demonized and smeared and tarred and marginalized. And make no mistake, this is no accident. This is two halves of the same coin, two sides of the same coin. That on the one hand there was the violent attack, but on the other hand, and we have to recognize this, there has been a 10-year, 11-year campaign now to make sure that everyone who is working to resist the encroachment of the same ideology that motivated those 9/11 attacks, everyone who is working to raise awareness about the nature of Islamic law and how it is in contradiction to the freedom of speech and to the freedom of conscience and to the principle of the equality of rights of all people before the law. Everyone who has done that has been freezed, isolated, and tarred with the most serious charges that are never substantiated because they never can be substantiated. And the ultimate end goal is to make people afraid to resist. And they think that if we speak out against jihad terror, that it's racism and bigotry. But what race is jihad terror? What race is blowing up innocent civilians in an office building? What race is that? How is it bigotry to fight for the freedom of speech and equality of rights of all people? What we see here is a concerted effort to disarm the American people in the societal struggle that has followed 9/11. What we see was manifested most vividly in an event that happened around the Fort Dix aborted jihad attack. You may not know, everybody knows about the Fort Hood jihad attack that the Obama administration calls workplace violence. Very few people know that there was a group of Muslims a couple of years before that who were planning to go into Fort Dix and to murder as many American soldiers as they could before they were themselves killed. Now look, how did the Fort Dix 6 get caught? I'll tell you. They got caught because they liked to watch gory jihad videos. They liked to watch Daniel Pearl being beheaded and other videos of that kind. And they had them all on VHS tapes. So they took them to a video store and said, "Can you put this on DVD for us?" It's a true story. And so this kid in the video store is working and he's seeing these horrible images and he stops and he goes to his manager, and you know what he said to the manager? Now this kid is a hero, don't get me wrong, because he did stop, he did go to the police, but before he went to the police, he said to his manager, "I've seen these horrible things on these videos and I think these guys are up to no good. Should I call the police or would that be racist?" True story. It's ridiculous, it's absurd, and it's what's happening in American life every day now. That people who stand up against what happened on 9/11 and all the other attempts to advance the same ideology, they get this same kind of treatment, so that the ultimate end goal is that people are too intimidated and too frightened, because nobody wants to be called a racist, nobody wants to be called a bigot, and it can destroy your professional career, it can destroy your personal life, and that's why they do it. And so what we come to today is a tremendous abuse of power and the public trust. Habeeb Ahmed is on the Nassau County Human Rights Commission. And in his capacity on the Nassau County Human Rights Commission, he attempted to do this same thing to Pamela Geller. so that decent people would be afraid and ashamed to stand with her and to host her. And this is not the only time this has happened. This has happened many times. As a matter of fact, any time any of us who are in this field and fighting against this are invited to speak in a public venue, the same campaign happens. They do it to me, they did it to Noni Darwish, they do it to everyone. Habeeb Ahmed took it one step further, because Habeeb Ahmed used his capacity on the Nassau County Human Rights Commission to drum up support for his smear campaign. And ultimately, he was able to get the ball rolling on a campaign of defamation and lies and smears that did end up getting Pamela Geller canceled from the Great Neck Synagogue. Now, we all know there were great and courageous people who stepped up, who were at Habeeb this morning and who hosted her there.
Here, here.
And that was a great victory. But it was one victory in a larger struggle. And the larger struggle is that we must not allow not only this abuse of the public trust and his public office by Habeeb Ahmed, but we must stand up every time they do this and say, no, truth is not bigotry, truth is not hatred, and defending freedom of speech and equality of rights for all people is not bigotry or racism, and we are not going to stand for it. We are not going to stand for this tarring of good people, heroic people who are fighting to preserve our rights and to defend our freedoms. Because if we do not stand, and I know I'm preaching to the choir because you're all out here, and I thank you that you're here, and I thank God that you're here, but at the same time, we have to remember it's not just today, and it's not just this incident, and it's not just Habeeb Ahmed. They do this every time. They will keep doing this every time. And we have to be with them every step of the way and expose who they are and expose their own ties to the Muslim Brotherhood and to other Islamic supremacist groups. And to show these people are not neutral civil rights organizations, the Council on American Islamic Relations. These people are Hamas. And they are enemies of American freedoms. And we are going to defend American freedoms. We are going to pledge, like the signers of the Declaration of Independence, our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor to the defense of freedom. Thank you.
Thank you.